Okay.
There we are. We are live right now. And if everything is all right, you will see the presentation screen. You will see Pilar, and you will see a very small image of me, which is the way it's supposed to be. So welcome everybody to the live stream for the Valdespino sherry tasting. There's a lot of you, so that's really heartwarming that there's a lot of sherry fanatics in Belgium and are trying to that want to taste some nice sherries from Valdespino. In a moment, I will introduce Pilar Garcia to you, who will guide you through the different sherries we're going to taste. The very first thing I want to do is say a little bit about the chocolates that you have. So normally this was going to be a live tasting, and then the idea would be that we would have different little pots of chocolate to taste, so you could taste all 4 different kinds of chocolate. Now, since we had to move this to an online tasting, this wasn't possible. So what I decided to do was send each of you one of the 4 chocolates that are made by Coup de Chocolat at random. So you will have each of you will have one of the chocolates. I see also that we have a delay of about 35 seconds, I see. So there's quite a big delay today. It's probably because of the internet connection. So a little bit about the chocolate. Coup de Chocolat is small chocolate makers from Antwerp. A couple, Isabel and Tom, they're making chocolates all by hand. They select all their cacao at locally, directly from farmers. They have it all tested to see if there's no pesticides or other harmful stuff used. They have the cacao beans fermented and dried, and then they put them on a sailing boat from, in this case, Colombia to Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam they put it into on bikes, and by foot power they bring the cacao to Antwerp. So everything is completely carbon neutral. So this is really good chocolate. There's 4 different kinds. Pilar will go through them. We have pairings for the chocolates with different kinds of sherries. And you all have one of them to taste with one of the sherries. That being said, I've talked long enough, and I would like to introduce you to Pilar Garcia, who will tell you all about the Valdespino winery and the wines we're going to taste. I'll try, because I see that now Rens is coming in. Rens, if you want to join, you should go to twitch.tv/meugquiz, and you can follow there. Here you are in the meeting, and that's not the idea. So Pilar, up to you, and I'll work this out with Rens.
Hello, Rens.
No, Rens is not here, so you go ahead and start your presentation.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought Rens wanted to introduce him. Sorry. Hello, my name is Pilar, and it's very nice to meet you, or you meet me. I would like to say thank you to all of you, and I will try to do my best this evening and share with you my knowledge and my passion about sherry and about the Valdespino brand. So hope you enjoy, and let's start. So I don't know if some of you know what is sherry, but I would like to, before talk about the Valdespino brand, introduce you to the sherry wine. What is sherry? Sherry is a unique wine. It's a fortified wine, and it's a wine with lots of history behind, over 33,000 years of history. So sherry is produced exclusively in the sherry area, in the sherry region. It's about 3 towns, are called Jerez de la Frontera, Sanlúcar de Barrameda, and El Puerto de Santa Maria. To be a sherry, must be aged in one of these three towns. Sherry is fortified, it's a fortified wine. Fortified wine means that the wine has a full alcoholic fermentation, and after that we make an addition of neutral wine distillate. So we have been talking about the sherry region, the sherry DO. So the sherry DO is situated in the coast of Andalusia, is in the extreme south of Iberian Peninsula, and we have a very particular climate due to the fact we are very close to two rivers, the Guadalquivir and the Guadalete. We are situated in two estuaries of two rivers. El Puerto de Santa Maria has the estuary of the Guadalete River, and Sanlúcar de Barrameda is situated in the estuary of the Guadalquivir River. So the Sherry Triangle, what is that? It's about three towns, Jerez de la Frontera, El Puerto de Santa Maria, and Sanlúcar de Barrameda. So we can see in this map the triangle. Yeah. And yeah, we have a vineyard extension of 6,700 hectares. We have vines, Palomino grapes mainly, and also Moscatel and Pedro Ximenez, depending on the wine we produce. Dry wines, sweet wines, or blendings. Sorry, Jerome, I'm sorry. It's a bit delayed, or the presentation?
Yeah, no, it's I'm not following.
Continue?
Yeah, okay.
The density of vines, it's about 3,500, from 3,500, 3,800 plants per hectare. The maximum authorized of grapes per growing per hectare is about 9,500 kilograms. In our area, we have lots of hours of sunlight, from 3,000 to 3,200 per year. We reach very high temperatures, but also very, very low. Even in the same day, we have lots of changes of temperatures. And talking about the rainfall, we don't have many rainfall in the area, but when it rains a lot. We have days with 600 liters per square meter of rainfall. Indeed, yeah. And then we have two predominant winds, which are Poniente and Levante. Poniente is the fresh, humid, and the wind coming from the coast. And Levante is a dry, hard, and aggressive wind coming from inland, from the mountains. We need these two winds to grow our vines, but also to age our wines, are very necessary for us and need a well balance of both. So talking about our soil is called albariza. Albariza is a white, chalky mineral and very important for us. Why? Because we are not allowed to irrigate our vines. So we need this soil at 40 degrees, we make a hole deep inside and we find water. So that's why it's very important. It's very high in porosity. It's rich in calcium carbonate. It has a beautiful white color, which reflects the sunlight and the heat during the ripening process. So it protects our vines and it protects the humidity. It keeps the humidity inside. Then, talking about the grapes, as I told you before, we have three types of grapes: Palomino, It's the main grape we use for the dry wines, sorry. And then Moscatel and Pedro Ximenez for sweet wines. And for blendings, we use both grapes, so Palomino and Pedro Ximenez or Palomino and Moscatel. Yeah, now you can continue, Jerome. Then harvest. So it used to take place at the beginning of September, but now due to the changes in the climate, we used to start with the harvest before in the second half of August. The minimum authorized Baume is 10.5 degrees, and we need a fast transportation to the vinification plant. In our case, we are very close to the vineyards. Our facilities are about 5-10 minutes far away by car from the vineyards, and it allows us to make this fast transportation.
Pilar, I'm going to interrupt you for just a second because there seems to be some network issues. Sometimes the stream falls away. The only thing you have to do, people, is just refresh it. And then it should come back. So don't worry about it. And also, because there's a delay of about 30 seconds, if it falls away here, it's 30 seconds later that I see it on the chat. So I can't really instantly solve it. But just refresh, and you can be sure that we'll try and get everything right. Also, as you've seen, I'm working the PowerPoint presentation, so I have to follow Pilar. I'm trying to do that. And also, if you have questions, put them in the live chat. And I'll follow the live chat. If there's questions that I can pass on to Pilar, I will pass them on by interrupting her like this. But go ahead, yes, Pilar. Yeah.
Thank you, Jerome. So, okay, we were...
there is already a question here. Uncle Brazzy asks you, can you explain Baume in terms of Plato? I don't know if I can translate this. This is
Baume is sugar, and then the volume. So it gives us at the end the alcohol volume. So we need a concentration. So a ripening in the grape. So it needs to be ripped until 10.5.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we start with the distilling and the crushing, and we get 2 mostos. We make a first pressing and get the mosto yema, and then we make a second pressing and we get the mosto prensa. After that takes place the fermentation. In the case of Valdespino, we are particular because it makes difference than other wineries in the sherry deal because we ferment in cask, in wood. And after the fermentation, we produce, so the still white wine is produced. It reaches about 12.5 degrees ABV, sorry. And then we make the classification. Yeah. So classification, what we do? If we want to make a biological aging wine, we fortify up to 15 ABV. And if we want to make an oxidative aging wine, we fortify up to 17. So we classify the wine must in that moment after the fermentation due to the different tasting notes and the characteristics of these musts. And from that moment, we decide which wine is going to be a biological aging wine or an oxidative aging wine. It means we want to produce a Fino or a Manzanilla, so we fortify up to 15. Both are 100% biological aging wines. Or we want to make an Oloroso. So it's 100% oxidative aging wine. So we fortify up to 17. Why? If we fortify up to 15, the floor doesn't appear. Sorry, appears. Up to 15, the floor appears. So we start with the biological aging process. And if we fortify up to 17, the floor never appears and the wine is in contact with the oxygen. So an oxidative aging wine, 100% from the beginning, Oloroso. There are other wines that are aged at the beginning as a biological aging wine and at the end as an oxidative aging wine. This is the case of an Amontillado. Yep, so this is the main concept. Biological aging wines, Manzanillas and Finos, 100% oxidative aging wines, Olorosos, half and half, or a part of their life as a biological aging wine and at the end oxidative Amontillado. Okay. So the casks we use are American white oak, we call botas in Spanish, butts, are 600 capacity, 600 liters capacity. We never fill to the top. We need a space with oxygen. So 5-6 parts capacity we fill. And the cask, we don't renew the casks and are quite old. 3 years, 30 years old, or even more. And
What
are very
do you know, Pilar? Do you know what the oldest cask is that you have that's still being used?
Wow. There are some casks maybe 80 years old, and
Okay.
so it depends.
Okay.
When that was built, it's quite difficult to determine and to know, but yeah, there are some casks quite old.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the aging process. It's called solera and criadera system. This is a dynamic system. This is not a static like a still wine, white or red wine. This is different. We can say that we make a kind of blending between different vintages. So what we do, we get the vintage wine, it's called sobre tabla, it's the wine of the year, and we introduce the sobre tabla on the youngest criadera. It used to be on top, so we introduce the sobre tabla on the youngest criadera, and we make different withdrawals until the solera, where we take the wine to be bottled. So this is the dynamic system. We are not allowed to bottle more than a third part of the cask, but it doesn't mean that we always bottle this amount. It depends on the brand, it depends on the wine we are bottling, so different cases. In the case of Valdespino, indeed, we only produce very old wines, so we don't get out this amount of wine. So then we're gonna talk Valdespino. Valdespino is a very old winery. It's one of the oldest or the oldest one in the Sherry Dio. There is information about merchant, about, I don't know, 1000, so 1430. And yeah, it was the royal family sherry in 1832, in 1883, I don't know the years it was. And yeah, the Valdespino family installed the sacristy. So it was a corner inside of the original Valdespino winery where the oldest wines were aged. Now we keep this corner and we still make and produce and age these very old wines are the VOS and the VORS wines we produce. So in 1999, the family Esteves bought Valdespino winery and keep the traditional style of making the Valdespino brand.
All right.
So what makes Valdespino different?
Pilar, there is already a question. So there was a delay of a bit, you know. There's a question about the Amontillado. There's the Roachman on the chat asks. He assumes the Amontillado loses the flor at some point during the aging. How
Yes.
or why is his question?
Okay. Two ways. It dies by itself, or it can be killed. It depends on the house. So dies by itself if we withdraw less during the time, the floor loses its thickness until it dies by itself. Or if you add more alcohol vinegar, you kill the floor.
So and what do you use at Valdespino? How does it work in with you?
In the case of Tio Diego, the floor dies by itself.
Okay.
I will show you in a while. Okay, so talking about the vineyards, in the case of Valdespino, we select the grapes from a single plot. We are the only one winery in the Sherry Dio producing single vineyard wines. And this plot, it's called Machanudo Alto. Machanudo Alto is situated in the highest point of the area. And it's, we can say that it's like the Grand Cru of the Sherry Dio. The highest point is not very high compared to other regions, but it's the highest point we have. It's 135 meters above the sea level. And in Machanudo Alto, you find Albariza at its best. Albariza soil there is the whitest that you can find in the area, and it is at the end represented in our wines. We want to take you to our vineyards on a way, and we want to keep the minerality from Machanudo Alto in our wines. That's why our wines are very mineral. So yeah, inside of the single vineyard concept, we have Inocente Fino, Tio Diego Amontillado, Palo Cortado Viejo C.P, Palo Cortado Cardenal, and one still white wine. It's called Machanudo Alto, single vineyard cask fermented. Okay, so you can see here in this map how is the Sherry Dio, how is the sherry growing area, and where is Machanudo situated. Machanudo, if you click on once more, I think, yeah, there it is. Oh, okay. Is just in the middle of the sherry area, and it's very high, so the winds are working very good there, and the orientation and everything works very good for our wines. That's why we select the grapes from this plot exclusively for the single vineyard wines we produce. Okay, so talking about what makes Valdespino different. So yeah, we have a sherry boutique concept. We select the wines, the grapes from the single vineyard, single plot, Machanudo Alto. We make the cask fermentation, and we make very old wines in general. So we keep the traditional style in the fermentation. Okay. Now, I would like to take you inside our winery and explain you how we work. I don't know if this is quite small and if you see very good, but I would like to explain you the order we have inside of Valdespino Winery. As you've seen before, the criadera and solera system is in a triangle. So on top you find the youngest criadera, and next to the floor you find the solera. In the case of Valdespino House, we age in parallel. Why? Because as I told you before, we have very old wines. Also for the Inocente Fino. To be a Fino could be at 2.5 years old. But in the case of Inocente it's about 10 year, 11 year old. So that's why we have 10 criaderas and 1 solera for Inocente Fino. Left side, you see the numbers of criaderas. Yeah, and on the right side, you see the criaderas of Tio Diego. So we start with fermenting cask, and then we start with the vinification process for Inocente on the left side and for Tio Diego on the right side. So the origin is the same one, Machanudo Alto plot, cask fermentation, and then start the vinification. So for both, we fortify up to 15 at the beginning, and we make the different withdrawals. In the case of Inocente, we keep the floor alive, so we keep the floor until the solera, because we are talking about a Fino, so 100% biological aging wine. And in the case of Tio Diego, you can see 8 criaderas about biological aging process, and then the floor dies. We make less withdrawals than in the case of Inocente, so we so the floor dies by itself, sorry, and then starts the oxidative aging process at the end. So we have 2 criaderas and the solera about oxidative aging for Tio Diego Amontillado. The oxidative stages, so the criaderas of oxidative aging process, take longer during the time. So we talk about an 18-year-old Amontillado in the case of Tio Diego. And in between both, you find different casks. And because I want to talk you about the Palo Cortado, how it appears. You can go back again. Thank you. So what's a Palo Cortado? The Palo Cortado, we used to say that is the happy accident. So we don't look for a Palo Cortado. A Palo Cortado suddenly appears. Suddenly, okay. The cellar master and the winemakers are tasting the different casks. And at some point, they find wines that are not going straight to become into a Fino. So due to the tasting notes, due to the flow, how it develops. So from that moment, our team decides to move and send this wine to be aged as an oxidative aging wine. So it has a bit of a very short life of biological aging and a very long oxidative aging life. To be a Palo Cortado by the Sherry Council just can be 1 year or 1.5 years. So in the case of our Palo Cortado Viejo C.P. It appears on the 10th or 9th criadera of Inocente Fino. So our Palo Cortado Viejo C.P. is a quite old Palo Cortado, about 20-year-old. And then after the Palo Cortado Viejo C.P., we have another one older. It's called Cardenal. So we have 3 criaderas and 1 solera for Viejo C.P. And then we have another 3 criaderas. So we withdraw with the solera of Palo Cortado Viejo C.P., the youngest criadera of Palo Cortado Cardenal, and we start the vinification of this older wine until the solera. 3 criaderas and then the solera of Cardenal. So this group of wines have the same origin, Macharnudo Alto plot, same stat, fermentation in cask, and then the very long vinification process. The youngest wine we're talking about is about 10, 11-year-old, the Inocente Fino. Okay. Now I'd like to show you just a representation of the range we have inside of the Valdespino house. We separate the different wines in the premium range, in the Vos and specialties, and in the Vors and deluxe. So the premium range, it's about Deliciosa Manzanilla, Inocente Fino, Tio Diego Amontillado, Deliciosa Isabella Cream. It's a sweet wine, blending between Palomino and PX. Amontillado medium dry Contrabandista, Moscatel Promesa, and Pedro Ximenez El Candado. Then the VOS, the VOS, more than 20-year-old, and the specialities are Palo Cortado Viejo C.P., Oloroso Don Gonzalo, Solera 1842, it's a rich Oloroso, and Deliciosa en Rama. It's a special batch we launch every year, every spring. And then the VORS and deluxe wines, more than 30-year-old, are Amontillado Coliseo, Palo Cortado Cardenal, Oloroso Solera de Su Majestad, Pedro Ximenez Niños, Moscatel Toneles, and the vintage 2000 Palo Cortado. So, okay, there is a style of sherry on each occasion. So we start talking about the manzanillas. So, sorry, the biological aged sherries in general are finos and manzanillas. So, as we were talking before, are wines 45 up to 15 alcohol volume. The wines are aged under veil of yeast. This veil of yeast suddenly appears after the fermentation, after the fortification, up to 15. We need to keep this surface alive. That's why we need to make the different withdrawals and keep the humidity conditions inside of the winery. That's why we need this well balance between Poniente and Levante. And our wineries are built facing to the coast, facing the Poniente side. So let's start tasting. Yep.
Yeah,
First
people were getting very thirsty in the chat, so.
Think so. So, okay. So we start with the Deliciosa Manzanilla. Yeah. Manzanilla Deliciosa, 100% biological aging wine, 100% Palomino grape. It's a bone dry wine, 15 ABV. To be a manzanilla, must to be aged in Sanlúcar. So, yeah, we have a winery in Sanlúcar for another brand, and we select several casks from this old winery to bottle the Deliciosa. So it's a pale yellow color, very elegant, delicate wine. This wine should be served chilled, well chilled. It could be a good aperitif, but it's a wine to be paired almost with everything. It cleans your palate. It it is always asking you for food on a way, and it's the wine that we used to have with all the type of tapas in general. It reminds you to chamomile due to the floral character. The floor in Sanlúcar develops on a different way. The floor used to be thicker, yeah. That's why it is more delicate than the Fino. If we compare both at the same time, we get this different character. The minerality is more predominant in the Fino than in the Manzanilla. And now,
so people in the chat are saying it has a very nutty nose. Lots of nuts in the nose.
Yeah. White almonds.
Yeah. So this is where it's a bit hard for us to get to interact with the people, because they're seeing it really like 40 seconds after you're talking. So now they're getting the information about the Manzanilla and the Fino and tasting it. So I have one person here, Uncle Brazzy, saying it reminds him of sake, of some sake.
Mm-hmm. We can say that sherry, we are like competitors to sake, and the manzanillas and finos both go perfect with sushi. And this umami character you find in the manzanilla is very similar to sake.
Mm-hmm. So just some now there's some reactions coming into the chat. So some green apple, someone's saying. A lot of people are saying. A lot of people are just saying really nice. So that's a good thing, I guess.
Thank
yeah.
you.
It's no almonds, rather walnuts.
Yeah, more nuts than almonds. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
You should know that the person saying that is actually a beer maker, a brewer. So I don't know if he knows a lot about the flavors.
No, but it could be okay too. Yeah, and we're talking about a 6-year-old manzanilla. So it has character and complexity, and this salty character is very predominant due to its origin and the place where it's aged, Sanlúcar. So in Sanlúcar, we have a kind of microclimate due to the fact that we are situated in the estuary of the Guadalquivir River and the beginning of the Atlantic Ocean. So that's why manzanilla must be made in Sanlúcar, and it's not allowed to be aged and produced in another town due to the very particular weather conditions that we have there. Mm-hmm. And then if we go for a chocolate, I will suggest you to try with Charlie. So let's try. Who has this chocolate?
So there should be about 15 people participating that have the Charlie in their package. So and I have chosen that one too, as it happens.
Mm-hmm. Manzanilla goes perfect with a smoky dark chocolate. It makes a balance. And also Manzanilla is a wine to be paired with seafood, fried fish, this salad or something like that. Why not with chocolate too?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes very good.
When you combine the two, the chocolate and the manzanilla, it opens a lot of new flavors that are not in either of them. It creates new flavors, so it's really nice.
Yeah, it's the thing that the sherry does, because always sherry, it's like improving the flavor and of the food in general, and giving you more character and more complexity in everything. Yep. Now we go for the Inocente Fino. Fino Inocente is a 10-year-old Fino. It's a single vineyard wine, cask fermented. It has a very long biological aging process, about 10 years old, 10 criaderas and 1 solera. 15 ABV again. To be a Fino or a Manzanilla must be always 15. And due to this wine is older than the Manzanilla, maybe we can go for different type of food, and we can pair with smoky fish or Asian cuisine, or white meat, also with seafood, with fried fish, with all type of tapas, with jamón serrano. Yeah. And the case of Inocente is it's a Fino that has body, and we used to say that this one, it's like oily. It fills your palate, your and this is because this wine is fermented in cask and has this complexity. It's very pungent, very mineral. Remember that we want to take you to the vineyard and keep the minerality from Machanudo Alto. Again, the Fino Inocente, for me, if I will choose chocolate, I'll go for Charlie too. Both Manzanilla and Fino have more or less the same tasting notes, of course. The Manzanilla is more delicate, the Fino is more pungent, but so, both have the same nutty character, the same floral character, yeasty notes.
So these wines that we're tasting now, the Manzanilla and the Fino, are these like how do you drink them in Spain? Is this like because sherry here, we associate sherry with like one glass after dinner or before dinner, but these are not this kind of wine. This is to drink with your meal.
Not at all. Yeah, it's a drink to meal. Both could be an aperitif, but also wines to be paired with everything, and can be paired with a whole meal in general. So you can start a meal with Manzanilla Deliciosa or with Fino Inocente, and you can finish this meal with both wines. This is not the case, and this is not common. We are known as maybe sweet wines or wines for, as you've seen before, you've said before, wines for dessert, but this is not the case. Sherry should be paired with food and enjoyed. Yeah. So that's it. And then we can go for the Amontillado. So now, okay, we're going to talk about the double aging process. So the double aging cherries are Amontillados and Palo Cortados. The Amontillados start as a biological aging wine and finish as an oxidative aging wine. The Amontillado has a very long biological aging process and a very long oxidative aging process. the difference between an Amontillado and a Palo Cortado is that the Palo Cortado has a shorter biological aging. Just 1 year, 1.5 years, no more. And then a very long oxidative aging process.
Just before we start tasting them, just to tell you that people are loving the Fino also. They're trying it right now, so really good. A bit more dusty, but the after tasting is more interesting. The nose is really good. The taste is really good. Really something to drink with food. Yeah. So just a few reactions there.
Thank you. So the Palo Cortados are more complex, maybe, than an Amontillado due to the longer aging process. So we go for the Amontillado Tio Diego. Amontillado Tio Diego, again, a single vineyard wine, cask fermented. At the beginning, biological aging wine. At the end, oxidative. The floor dies by itself. Starts the oxidative aging process. So it's a very elegant wine, color, light amber. Now here you get nuts, more nuts than almonds. Maybe also you expect sweetness, but this is a bone dry wine. Tio Diego is 18 ABV. 18-year-old, 10 years about biological aging, and then 8 oxidative. A perfect pairing to Amontillado are the artichokes or these type of vegetables that you can't imagine to be paired with a wine. So try with Amontillado, like green asparagus or these consommes in general. Try. Then patties or very good anchovies go perfect with the Amontillado too. And in the case of these chocolates, which one was Marcel? Is here. Yeah, the Amontillado goes perfect with the chocolates that maybe have a bit of sea salt, and Marcel has this sea salt. So I decided to suggest you to try Tio Diego with Marcel. Yep. Both. Again, the Amontillado goes perfect with dark chocolate, but also dark milk. So let's try it. I have everything, Jerome.
Yeah. Yeah, just so everybody in the chat knows, I sent every chocolate over to Pilar so she could taste it. But this is actually the first time she's tasting them, so this is I hope you'll see some little lights of fun in her eyes when she tries the chocolate.
This is less dark than Charlie, with a bit of milk more, and goes perfect with the Amontillado.
Yeah, so indeed the Marcel is it has the sea salt. It's only 63% cacao. The Charlie was 72, so this is lighter, and then the sea salt adds a lot. And they also use a little bit of milk in this one, as you said. So
perfect match. Yeah, I don't know if I need to wait because of the delay, or I can continue.
Well, they're trying now, but there's not really much coming here. Caramel in the nose, some people are saying, but not in the flavor.
Yeah.
So some caramel.
Yeah.
I think people are really trying now and really tasting it. So give them a little bit of time.
For their impressions, because the Amontillado you expect sweetness on a way, because on the nose you find these caramel notes or honey, but at the end it's bone dry, definitely.
Yeah, there's no
dry.
sweetness in the flavor, not on the palate at all. So
due to the oxidation.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of sugar, but not just less than 2 grams per liter of sugar.
It's already a big difference with the first two. I mean, it already shows how broad you can go in flavors.
So we're talking about just one grape and different aging process.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all.
Yep.
Same origin, same type of grape, same fermentation process, biological aging at the beginning. But now the oxidation, we get different flavors, different notes.
There's also people trying them, of course, with the. There's also people trying them with the other chocolates, and some are saying it works well with the Jerome too, because the Jerome is really high in cacao content. It's 85%. It's a lot more bitterness there, so I can imagine that, yeah. And there's also somebody saying that her husband is eating all the chocolate with his whiskey, so he should stay off the chocolate and leave you eat it with the sherry. Tell him.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He will leave you.
Yes.
Having the chocolate with cherry.
Yeah.
Not with the whiskey. Leave the whiskey for the dessert.
Yes, indeed. I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so
That's nice. Yes.
We go for, nice. We go for the Palo Cortado Viejo C.P. Okay. Okay. So the Palo Cortado Viejo C.P. is a 20-years old Palo Cortado. Cask fermented, single vineyard wine, 20 ABV, just one grape, Palomino Fino, but a very complex wine. Again, the color, look at the color, amber, very elegant. But now here you find different notes, more complex. You find more wood.
It's also a lot heavier, a lot more. The alcohol is coming more to the front for me.
20. Yeah. Probably need to open a little bit more. It's 20 ABV. It's a wine, beautiful wine, nutty, with hazelnuts, walnuts, aromas, some spicy notes.
Hazelnuts a lot, and I mean almost Nutella, almost almost the hazelnut flavor from the Nutella.
Mm-hmm. Yes. We love this wine in the Indian cuisine due to its spiciness.
Yeah, I can see now that they're now about a minute into when we started, so we'll get some reactions soon. So this is the hard part of doing online tastings, especially because of the delay. Because Pilar, of course, can't see you guys, can't see how you react to the tasting, and can't really interact with you that way. So we make do with this. So it almost feels like I'm getting a private tasting here, which is quite weird. But I can see that there's still everybody's still there watching. So people are now starting to react on the Palo Cortado. Smells entirely different. Lots of dark fruits they're getting in the nose.
You get warm.
Yeah.
It's a very intense and a very long wine.
Mm-hmm. Maybe while they're tasting, just a question that I have already is, are these wines to keep or to drink very young when you get them, or can you leave them for a long time?
For a long time, yeah. The case of the Manzanillas and Fino can keep for 1 week on the fridge.
Okay.
Always stand up. We don't need the contact to the cork. Then the Amontillados longer, 3 weeks, something like that. Palo Cortado, this Palo Cortado is very old one, so you can keep it for months.
Mm-hmm.
And the Olorosos too.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting lots of mms and wow, and there's love the dark fruits, honey, caramel, very rich. Some hearts for the Palo Cortado. Spices reminds somebody of whiskey aged on virgin oak.
Mm-hmm. Incense notes.
Yeah. Yeah. Reminds people of whiskey, this.
Yeah, it's more licorice.
Yeah, I told you that there would be a lot of whiskey enthusiasts doing the tasting today, so yeah.
Yeah. So the Palo Cortado requires dark, pure chocolate. So, and lower in sweetness. So we can go for Jérôme.
I don't have it here, but I think that's a really good combination. Because it's quite a strong chocolate, that one. Just so people know, the Jérôme has won a couple of international prizes for being best chocolate in his category the last couple of years. So,
I've seen it. I was really looking forward to try the chocolate, trying the chocolate.
Of course, because that's new for you. The sherries you already know. So.
I was keeping the chocolates for a whole week.
Yeah.
Until today.
And you succeeded in not eating them before the tasting, so that's really good.
Keeping them all, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the number 1 at the moment for people who are trying. Somebody's saying it makes sense to me now to age whiskey on sherry barrels. And somebody's also saying drink more sherry, do it for the whiskey. So I can only agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
So now we leave the biological and oxidative aging wines, and we go for the oxidative aging sherries. Oloroso. Olorosos are 45 from the beginning up to 17. So beyond to 15 ABV, the flora is unable to develop, and the wine is in contact to the oxygen and gaining more concentration. So the Olorosos in general require a longer periods of aging. So that's why Olorosos are very elegant and get this finesse. The case of Don Gonzalo, it's a very old wine. It's a beautiful one. It's a VOS, more than 20 years old. Again, just one grape, Palomino. It's 21 ABV. Oloroso in Spanish means fragrant. So it smells a lot. It's a very long one, beautiful one. I don't know for you, but for me, it's very salty.
Sorry, you just fell away a bit there.
Salty?
Salty, yeah. Yeah.
It's very complex, long, it's a perfume.
Really nice on the nose.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
It could be a wine just to have as an aperitif or paired with food, but also it could be a meditation wine, a wine to be enjoyed by itself with a really good book, and that's all. Or cigars.
All right.
The smoky character it has too.
Yeah. Okay, and the sweetness of it will go well with the smokiness of the cigar, of course, I guess. So.
Although it's a bone dry wine, Oloroso, to be an Oloroso must be dry.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about wine,
Mm-hmm.
but probably use pet sweetness. It's a tricky wine on a way. You find this again, honey notes, caramel notes, but at the end, it's a bone dry wine. I love this wine with pork chips, for instance.
Okay.
With this food, with the glycerin, so it makes a very good balance, and it stops this.
Yeah. So there was a couple of questions there. Peter, you were asking about the prices of the wines. When all the tasting is over, everybody will get a link to a Google form, and you will find all the prices for the wines if you want to buy a bottle. We're not going to tell you the prices right now because we don't want to influence you. Because everybody knows that when we tell you the price, it will always affect your taste. So we're not doing that right now. We're doing that in the end. And there's somebody else asking. Now the real whiskey enthusiasts are coming to water here because Oloroso is, of course, lots of times it's used as a cask for whiskey maturation. And somebody's asking, do you have an agreement with some whiskey distilleries where your casks are used for aging?
No.
Because you need your cask yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't sell cask. We are not in this business. We just age some whiskies and sherry cask. But no, we don't sell casks. Nothing. Not in this business yet.
Okay. Because I think a lot of whiskey distilleries would be very interested to get their hands on good casks for maturation. But, yeah.
Yeah, but it's very difficult to renew casks in our case. So that's why we are not in this business. We don't age young wines, so we don't sell the cask. We need our cask for our complex wines.
Completely understand. So now people are reacting here. Really good, of course. Quite dry, not sweet. Very long finish. It stays for a long time. A little bit acidic and dry. Super weird with that sweet nose. Soft sweetness. There's somebody who's contemplating starting to smoke again. He stopped smoking, but he wants a cigar right now. So that's on you, Pilar. Would be very good with cheese. Would be very good with cheese, somebody says. I can imagine that.
Mature cheeses goes perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, too.
Yeah, lots of good reactions. People are liking this.
Thank you. Good to know. Now going back to the chocolates. This type of wine, Oloroso Don Gonzalo, has a good balance. Goes perfect with chocolates filled of caramel or nougatin or pecan praline, or also marzipan or something like that. I decided to pair it with Gusta. I don't know who's the lucky one who has Gusta.
There should be about 15. Now there's what I distributed was 15 of each and 30 of the Marcel. So Marcel is the one that's been distributed the most, but Gusta is really nice. And I think it will go really well with this one because of the fruitiness of the chocolate. Lots of tropical fruits in that chocolate, yeah.
So let's try. So how is it going with the chocolates and the cherries?
Yeah, live chat. Tell us, how are the combinations with the chocolate working for you?
I want to interact with the people there.
No. So you just enjoy your chocolate for a second, and people will get there. Yeah. Yeah, there's somebody here offering to, if you ever age whiskey on a sherry barrel from your house, he will buy the whole cask. So sounds like a good deal.
So we also make whiskey.
Yeah. So you make whiskey yourself? Because I saw there was a Valdespino whiskey. Is that yours also? Okay. I didn't know that. All right. I haven't seen it in Belgium yet, so.
No, the nectar has
the
very rare spirit.
Okay, I'll check that out. Oh yeah, I should tell you, there was a couple of people that are. There's also a cheese master who's participating here, and he put together some cheese plates for a couple of people who are participating. So with every sherry, they're tasting some cheese. So how's that going, guys? Yeah, we'll hear in a minute. The chocolate the chocolate brings the dark fruit more to the front. People are saying for this one. So yeah, I think this is working out well with the pairings.
I love Oloroso with hard, pure, mature cheeses.
Mm-hmm. So you mean like Stilton or blue cheeses or?
No, Stilton with the PX. Stilton with the PX or with the Moscatel or with a cream cherry.
Oh yeah. So for this one, you mean more like manchegos, for example, or stuff like that? Manchego, yeah.
For instance.
Yeah.
Goat cheese. Goes perfect.
Okay, somebody's asking, I have another Oloroso sherry next to me. It mentions VORS 30 years, and this is VOS. What does the R stand for? The difference between VORS and VOS.
Okay, they have both. Okay, so the VOS is more than 20 years old, and VORS more than 30.
And so what does the R stand for? Is that for rare?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, very old sherry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Very old sherry.
Yeah.
It comes from Latin. Sorry, Vinum optimum signatum.
Okay.
And VORS, very old rare sherry, Vinum optimum signatum.
Rare. All right. That was the question, I think. Yeah. People are asking, can we buy the whiskey if it's through the nectar? But we can certainly work something out. Just send me an email and we'll work it out.
With the nectar, guys, I think so.
They
can get it.
Just send me an email after this and we'll work it out. No worries.
In our portfolio, so they can get it.
All right.
Thank you.
Somebody's getting, if you combine the Oloroso with the Gusta, she's getting a lot of leather in the flavors in the palate. So
these old wines give you this leather note on the nose. So yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Nice. This is a really nice one.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We continue. So now we start with the sweet wines. Sweet wines are made of Pedro Ximenez grape or Moscatel grape. So both grapes are exposed to the sun, and we make a technical, it's called soleo. We make late harvest, and then we get more concentration of sugar, and due to this evaporation, due to this exposure to the sun, it causes the evaporation of the concentration of sugar. Yeah. Then the grapes are pressed and we obtain this rich concentrated must. and the mast is partially fermented. We make the fermentation is resting by adding wine alcohol, and then we make the oxidative aging process, like the 100% oxidative aging wines, in the oak casks from the beginning in the Solera and Criadera system. Okay, the wines can be bottled monovarietal, or we make blendings between Palomino wines and Pedro Ximenez. So we make the cream cherries, or we make the medium dry Amontillados. It's a blending between Amontillado and then an addition of Pedro Ximenez wine, etc.
All right, Pilar, I have another question here from somebody. It's Greensome. He's a sommelier who is into natural wines and biodynamic wines and wines like that. And he's asking, can you say something about seasonal cherries and Rama, unfiltered stuff? Do you know anything about that? Are you involved in that with Valdespino?
Indeed, we produce in Rama wines. We bottle every year a Manzanilla en Rama. It's called Manzanilla Deliciosa en Rama. 1 month ago, we launched the last batch, 2020. These wines are unfiltered. So this is the main difference between a Manzanilla standard, so the filtration. We don't filter, so you can find particles inside of the bottle. And due to this unfiltration, the wine develops faster. So if you want to enjoy this wine as it is, it's preferable to enjoy it when it's bottled, fast, but you can also wait and see what happens and how the flow develops. So these particles, and it's are maybe more complex manzanillas and finos in this case, due to that fact.
People are already trying the pigs, so that's why I'm moving on. People are already tasting, so very good.
Go for the pig. Yeah, we are on time.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I see the slide, the promise slide, but you can skip it. Pedro Ximenez El Candado. So this is Pedro Ximenez Grape 100%. Oxidative aging wine at all. More than 10 years old. It's a wine for a knife and a fork. It's a wine for diabetics. 420 grams of sugar per liter.
It is very sweet, yeah, it is very sweet. I actually tried it last week. I just poured it over vanilla ice cream and had it like that. That was brilliant.
It's the perfect pairing for this wine. Vanilla ice cream and then a bit of PX on top. Perfect. Dark, but that is almost black. You can see through it. And it's like a syrup. Yeah, it reminds you this Christmas pudding, cinnamon, you find raisin, of course, honey notes, dry apricots, lots of.
Yeah, people are also saying, I don't know if you know that it's, I think it's a typically Belgian product, but like the pear and apple syrup that you put on your sandwiches.
Yeah.
So it's liquid stuff like this. Somebody's saying the best cough syrup ever.
So, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It was perfect with the vanilla ice cream. It's the dessert. You don't need anything else.
I think you can also take a long time with a glass like this. This is.
It's a very long wine.
So, and also the bottles, you can see it on the screen. They have a little lock on the top,
Oh, yes.
so you can lock it. So why is that? Why is it only with the pigs that you lock it?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't tell you nothing about the history. Yeah, the first owner of Valdespino was in love with this wine, so that's why he decided to put the lock on the cask, and then was protected. So that's why the brand El Candado, candado means padlock. So we have this word game in the bottle with the padlock and the brand name. That's it.
When I opened 2 of the bottles last week to fill the samples, my kids, each one of them stole one of the padlocks to play with. So they're getting a second life.
Yeah, why not? It's a good souvenir.
Yeah. So we're getting more, raisin juice, lots of raisins in the flavors,
Lots of flavors.
sticky,
Lots.
dried figs and prunes. Somebody's asking how long can you keep it after you open this bottle? I guess, and somebody else is saying forever. So I guess that's quite accurate.
No, please.
Well,
Don't keep it.
well, probably
For
you can keep it for as long as you can refrain from drinking it.
Enjoy
Something like
it and then buy a new one.
Yeah.
And talking about the pairing, this is the wine I prefer for this type of cheese, the Stilton, the blue cheeses in general, or brie or something like that. And talking about the chocolates, and due to its richness and viscosity, this wine goes perfect with a dark chocolate, more than 20% of cocoa. That's why I go for Jérôme.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the best combo too for this one. I think people will agree, but we'll wait for them to say something.
Okay.
So maybe before we go to the last one, do you actually have a favorite? A favorite sherry or favorite sherry style, or?
Wow, this is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
My style is Amontillado.
Amontillado.
But
yeah.
the wine, but the wine I drink more is the Manzanilla.
Mm-hmm.
For 2 reasons. I'm from San Luca, and for me, it's a wine to be paired with everything. So I enjoy longer with a Manzanilla.
Yeah.
And probably sometimes Amontillados are more complex, so I need different moments. But the Manzanilla, I can spend a whole day having Manzanilla.
Yeah, I can imagine that the Manzanilla is more like a drinking wine, and the Amontillados or all the other ones, the more aged ones, are ones that draw you to your glass, so you can't really do anything else when you're doing it. If you've got the Manzanilla and the Fino, you can just talk to friends and have a nice time. These are sherries that draw you to the glass, I think.
Yes, and in the case of the Valdespino, this is a difficult question for me because I love from Deliciosa to Palo Cortado Viejo C.P. a lot. So I don't know which one to choose.
But people had noticed your T-shirt, so they were all guessing Amontillado by now. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Amontillado.
Yeah.
That's it.
So how is sherry doing on a whole as a drink, or as a how to say it? Yeah, as a niche inside the drinks market?
Yeah, it's a challenge, and it could be a niche. We are trying to improve, and we need lots of efforts. It's a very educational wine, so it's quite difficult to say now. People is enjoying more sherry, and due to the fact that people is realizing how versatile sherry is in general, so it's becoming into more popular,
Hmm.
and more young people is enjoying sherry. So we are on the good way.
That's a good thing, yeah, because I feel like sherry is a bit forgotten. It used to be here in Belgium. It's the drink of our parents and grandparents. That not for us anymore, but that's changing
It
now.
was.
It was, yeah. It was, yeah, yeah. You're changing that, but I mean, I think that a lot of people see it like that. It's the bottle for my auntie, for example, but they don't know about goods, about good products, about the good stuff, and that's why they still think
When
about
you
the old.
realize how sherry,
Yeah,
then
I think so.
it's. Mm. But we need to make lots of efforts
Hmm.
to make sherry known and move from the grannies to the young people or
Yeah,
more in.
I will join you
That's
on
it.
your quest. I will try. I will try my best.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
I'll be watching at you.
Yeah.
So now we go for the last wine. It's the Moscatel Toneles. Toneles is a very special wine for us. Toneles is not a VOS, not a VORS. It's a Moscatel Viejísimo. Very, very old Moscatel. It's more than 80-year old. And yeah, we keep this very beautiful label. It's very vintage. And Toneles. Why it's called Toneles? Toneles is aged in a tonel. So a tonel is a 1,000 capacity cask. The solera of Toneles is made up one single tonel. And we have just 10 casks for Toneles. And so this is a very unique wine. It's 100% Moscatel grape. It's 15 ABV and it's very sweet. Again, 420 grams sugar per liter. But this one, it's about concentration of everything. You find this beautiful color, you find green hints, and you get this bitter nose, herbal character. This wine is very old, so it's very concentrated. That's why it has 15 ABV due to its concentration. It gets lower during the time. And it's a very special wine for us. So it's a wine to enjoy just a few drops and get different notes all the time.
People are trying it now. I see. Just so they know, when we started this whole tasting, I was planning on sending everybody 1 centiliter of this. But then in the end, I decided to make it 1.5 centiliters, so there's a bit more for everybody to enjoy. But this is precious stuff, so a lot more I couldn't do. But I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have enough in your glasses. And the first reactions are already comforting. Very nice nose. Damn, this is good. Yeah, so I guess people are enjoying this. Also, a little tip: if you finish your glass, don't clean it out, but leave it until tomorrow. It will make beautiful things in your glass with the color. So, and it still noses really nicely tomorrow. And don't put this on your vanilla ice cream.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, it's a wine to enjoy and get different flavors and notes, aromas during the time.
People are saying all kinds of stuff now. Yeah, there's a little bit of mint there, some balsamic vinegar, chocolates or dark chocolates, orange peel. Yeah, lots of stuff in there.
Leather.
Sorry?
Leather.
Leather, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. Nice.
So it's a good finish.
Yeah. So I read somewhere, but this might be an old article. But is it true that you still only fill 100 bottles a year of this?
Just under the request.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, glasses are staining brown. Somebody wants a bottle. Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, this is good stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so you don't make a lot of this. Is this served in restaurants? Are people using this in like gastronomic restaurants or the other sherries?
Michelin star, yeah. You can find this one in some very high quality restaurants too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are really trying now and really looking at this. Very thick, very balanced. Some honey somebody's getting.
True.
It smells as if it were spiced in a good way, somebody's saying. So as if there's spices added to it, but there's of course nothing added to this.
Lots of spices. Incense notes too.
And how much of this do you have still aging at the winery? How many casks are full?
The Solera of Toneles is just one cask.
Just one cask, okay.
Then we have the criadera system, so we refresh.
Yeah.
And made up one single cask is a tonel. 1,000 liters capacity.
All right. And do you see differences between different vintage years, between different bottling years, I say? I mean, if you bottled it like in 2019 or 18, is it different from this one?
We don't talk about vintage years.
Of course, that was...
Sorry. But no, not too many difference. The main target of the brand is to get the same wine, the same style of wine for each brand, and also Toneles too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So the younger version of Toneles is Moscatel Promesa.
Mm-hmm.
So the young criaderas of Toneles is withdrawn, refreshed with some Moscatel.
And when you say young, how old is that one then? How much aging does that one have?
About 7-8 years old.
Okay, yeah, so quite a big difference then. Yeah.
Yes, quite big.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have somebody that corrects himself. The one that said this was the Pedro Ximenez, I think, was the best cough syrup ever. Now changes it to this one. This is the best cough syrup ever. So that's really not a lot of respect for the wine, I think. But well, I know the man, so it's okay. He can say that.
Okay.
So somebody's asking about angel share. So for the oxidative aging, do you have more angel share than with the biological aging, or is that quite the same?
The amount, it's about a 5-7% wine loss, but I'm not sure. Sorry, if we lose more, we have more angel in the oxidative. I'm sorry. I know that this due to the porosity.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think. I don't know. Sorry.
Okay. No worries. That's.
I will get back to them.
We'll we'll work it out, and if we find out, we'll put it on the Facebook page for Merck, so everybody can see.
We'll do that.
All right.
Thank
So yeah, I mean, do you have more to say, or what?
Just thank you very much. I hope all of you enjoyed, and if you have more questions or.
I think people have enjoyed it. I will get them because of the delay. I will get them some time so they could put some more questions in the live chat. I'll start explaining a couple things already. So the whole tasting was recorded. We'll put this on the YouTube channel for Möch, so you can rewatch it if you want, if you missed stuff or need some more information. If you have any more questions, just send me an email and I'll try to find out and answer you. I would like to. I'm not going to thank you yet because people are going to ask stuff.
Sorry to say thank you already, but
yeah, I'll thank you all the way in the end. I'll for the people that want to buy one or more bottles or chocolates that you tasted, I will put up a link to a Google form in the live chat in a couple minutes, and I will also send the same link to you via mail. You'll find a Google form where you can indicate if you want one or more bottles. So just fill that in, and then afterwards, tomorrow or Friday, I will go through all of them and send you an email with all the information for how you can pay that. And then we'll work out for you to send the bottles to you. So don't hesitate. The prices are quite nice. I think for products like this. Another thing I wanted you to all know is tomorrow on this same live stream, I'm online again, and then I've got somebody from the whiskey world to talk to. I've got Stuart Buchanan, who is the brand ambassador for Benriach, Glendronach, and Glenglassaugh. Really nice guy. Pilar knows him. She did a tasting with him on Spirits in the Sky. So I'll be talking to him in Möch late night tomorrow night from 9 o'clock onwards. So you can join us there and have some fun with us. Just be sure to put something nice in your glass when you're watching. So yeah, that was basically what I wanted to say. Sorry? Yeah, put some sherry in your glass tomorrow. Yeah. If you've got something left, or else, well, the Möch late nights are every Thursday night. So once you get the sherry bottles you buy from us, you can watch in a couple weeks with a nice sherry beside you. I'm not seeing too many extra questions here. Just somebody acknowledging that it was a really nice overview of what sherry is about. So that was also mainly the idea for us to present this to people. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop the official tasting, and now would be the time to thank you a lot, Pilar, for your time, for hosting this tasting, for setting this up. I think I have enjoyed it. I think people have enjoyed it. So I hope we can do this again someday with some different cherries, whatever. We'll see. And I'll make sure if I get some more reactions and feedback, I'll send them all to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
So people in the live stream, thank you all very much for joining us. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to send me an email, jeroen@möch.be, and we'll see each other for a next time. I'll close off the sound here for a minute, and then I'll put up the link to the Google form in the live chat. Cheers, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye. See you next time.